Finally, man. Finally, Africa finally shows up at the World Cup. What a match day two. What a match day two. African teams stole match day two, man. Good results. I mean, four out of five teams got positive results. I mean, for the first time in a long time, the destiny of African teams at the World Cup is in our hands. It is in our hands, man. I can't wait for match day three. Hopefully, 3, 4, 5 teams. Welcome everyone to MRM Sports. I'm your host Ronald. Man, it's been long. It's been long since I did any content for World Cup, man. But then, after match day one, I was so deflated. I wanted to come out here cursing with African teams, but they're like, nah. You know, we were slow starters. There is no hurry in Africa. We're always slow starters. But then I missed it too. They finally stood up, man. They stood up to the task. They won where they needed to win. Some impressive draws by Cameroon, man. I mean, it was an all-round perfect match day two for African teams, man. Let me just go through the results. Senegal beat Qatar 3-1. Cameroon, what a 3-goal thriller, man. A 3-goal thriller. That's the tongue twister. Versus Serbia, man. That was a crazy, beautiful match. Then you have Ghana, man, pulling away from South Korea. I almost said North Korea. I almost said North Korea. Ghana managing to defeat North Korea. South Korea, man, what am I doing? Ghana defeating South Korea 3-2, man. What a crack of a game. We have Morocco. I think Morocco gave us what Saudi Arabia gave their fans. I mean, that 2-0 Belgium win, that 2-0 win over Belgium by Morocco was the best result so far from the African perspective at the World Cup. That was the best result so far. A game where I thought Morocco might not win, definitely might maybe get a draw at most. But then that was the beautiful win by Morocco. Then, of course, man, Tunisia had luck done by Australia, man. But then, yeah, it is what it is, man. I can't wait for match day 3. Man, for the first time in a long time in this tournament, which is the World Cup, most of our teams, their destiny is in their own hands. They have to win or draw. It's in their own hands. We can't rely for someone to do us favors somewhere. Yes, the teams who might rely on other teams to do them favors, but then, generally, man, I think African teams' spirit at this point in time are very high. I mean, we're expecting good things. Let me just go through the groups and then we discuss further. I mean, Group 1, Group A, I mean, Netherlands is on 4 points, Ecuador 4 points, Senegal 3 points, Qatar eliminated. And Netherlands play Qatar, which is a third rubber game for them, but then they need to win to guarantee they go through. I think they're through in a sense. Then Ecuador plays Senegal. I mean, this is the biggest game of them all for Senegal. And you know what? When I say our destiny is in our hands, we know what we have to do. Unless if by some hook or some crook Qatar defeat Netherlands 5-0, then Senegal get a draw. We know we have to win. Senegal has to win this game. There is no two ways about it. Senegal has to win this game. I mean, they have to win it. It's a winner takes all kind of game with Ecuador. And you know what? Before the group kicked off, in all honesty, I know the context of the games will always come to hand. But then for me, when I was looking at the groups, I thought Senegal would lose to Netherlands. I thought Senegal would beat Qatar. And I thought Senegal would have to play it all for against Ecuador. Okay, the context now is Senegal shouldn't have lost against Netherlands. That was a poor game to lose. The 2 goals which they considered could have been avoided. And then they shouldn't have considered a goal against Qatar. They should have kept a clean sheet, get a goal difference at least, a plus goal difference, which might count for something later on, and have to go all out against Ecuador. Of which I didn't think Ecuador would play this well. I mean, against Netherlands, Ecuador is so unlucky. They should have won that game, for being honest. But then it is what it is. A draw is good enough for us. I thought Netherlands would defeat Ecuador, and then we have to fight out with 3 points. Both teams having 3 points. But then, yeah, Ecuador are doing their thing, man. I hope Valencia, okay, it's a bad thing to hope for a player to be injured, but then I hope Valencia is injured for Ecuador. Then it's a 50-50. Mane is out, Valencia is out, star players are out. I mean, both teams can fight for it, but then you'll be hoping Senegal pull it all out. I mean, this is a game where nothing should be left to chance. Rather get a goal or get 2 goals and then throw in defensive players. Try to get goals as soon as possible. If you're Senegal, don't hold it tight, don't keep it tight, and then try to nick a goal at the end, because Ecuador are good at possession, they're good at breaking down teams. We saw them break down the Netherlands teams with a good defense, with the defense which is better than Senegal's defense. So they might as well try to go for it, homies. I mean, from the kickstart, try to get a quick goal and unsettle the Ecuador team, especially if Valencia is not there. Try and unsettle them and then maybe sell the game. I mean, Senegal are good defensively, but then you did see against Qatar, man. It's quite a weird one because against Qatar, Qatar did put Senegal under so much pressure when Senegal was two goal up. Although they managed to score a third goal, which was a good goal for them. But then, yeah, man, this game, they have to make sure they get all 3 points. I mean, we won Senegal. I mean, if Senegal win this game, they finish second of the group. Depending on how Netherlands and Qatar play. I mean, if Netherlands draw Qatar, then Senegal win. Senegal jump to 6 points, and Qatar remains on 5 points. So the Netherlands remain on 5 points. So you might as well go for it. Try. I mean, my prayer for the day is for Senegal to go through. And then, of course, we have another game coming up on MD3, man. I mean, you look at the France, Australia, Denmark, and Tunisia game. I think in this one, in all honesty, Tunisia is gone, man. I hate to say it, but then you think Denmark versus Australia. You know what? It's not all hope. All hope is not lost, man. I mean, we just hope France draws the weakest team. That's the only hope we have. Other than that, anything can go, man. But then we just hope France will draw a weak team and they might go through. That's the only saving grace we have. That's the only saving grace we have. I mean, if France draws a weak team, Tunisia puts them to the sword. Tunisia is on 4 points. If they get a good goal difference, and then you think Denmark and Australia might play to a draw. I hope for. Hopefully they play to a draw. Or if Australia win this game, then we're out because Australia will be on 6 points, France will be on 6 points. But then if Denmark wins this game, they'll be on 4 points. If Tunisia wins the game, they'll also be on 4 points. And then if Australia and Denmark draw, Australia is on 4 points. I mean, anything can happen in this game. We just hope. I mean, you know what? For the French players who are black and of Arabic origin, just give us this game. Just give Tunisia this game. Throw in the towel, man. I mean, you're through. Already you're through. Just throw in the towel. Yes, you want to go through with the perfect record, but then just throw in the towel, lose this game to Tunisia, and hopefully something happens for Tunisia, man. And then you go to another group with the African team. Yes, this is interesting. Croatia, Morocco, Belgium, Canada. I think, you know what, Morocco, I think Morocco have been the shining light for Africa at the moment. I mean, that 2-0 victory against what you call this? Against Belgium, and that was a perfect result. Following up that 1-0 draw. I mean, Morocco haven't considered a goal in this tournament. I mean, the defense is such a brilliant defense. The defense is on point, man, and they played 2 of the strongest teams in the group. I mean, the last game is against Canada. I mean, if Morocco loses to Canada, for me, that would be a shame. I mean, we can't throw it when it's in our hands like this. And you know what? A draw is good enough for Morocco. If Morocco draws down 5 points, Croatia on 4 points. So if Croatia defeats Belgium, we're still through. Croatia is on 7. If Belgium defeats Croatia, Belgium is on 6 points. So Morocco, a draw is good for Morocco, regardless of what happens in other groups. Other matches, I mean, between Croatia and Belgium. Morocco has to make sure they don't lose the game. Just don't lose the game and they're through. That's it. There's no hurry and there's no fuss about it. Just don't lose the game. And they're through. Again, it's another group where you expect, so far, for me, I expect Morocco, Senegal to go through. I know Ecuador is a tough team, but I expect Senegal to beat them. I expect Morocco not to lose against Canada. I mean, Canada is not known for football. This is not hockey. This is not ice hockey. Do not embarrass at Morocco. After drawing Croatia, defeating Belgium, then you're going to lose to Canada. That would be a shame, man. Then you think Cameroon, Brazil, Switzerland, Cameroon, Serbia. What a group. What a crazy group. I mean, Brazil is on 6 points. They're through. Casemiro managed to ensure they go through. Switzerland, that unlucky losers against Brazil. A 1-0 defeat against Brazil, which is good for us anyway. Then you have Cameroon with 1 point, Serbia with 1 point. I mean, Cameroon, dare I say, need to defeat Brazil. I mean, the only way I can think of this happening is if Brazil fields a weak side. But then you think the weak side might have Ederson at goal. Ederson from Man City, who won't want to concede a goal, who want to impress Tite. So again, it's a difficult task, but then it's not impossible. The only blemish with all the problem I have, in honest, with Cameroon, Rico Besson has been defensive minded all along. I think this game has to start Opakar. Hey, his name is confusing me. Opakar. I think it's Opakar. Yeah, it must be Opakar. That's the only way we can go through. And then, of course, there's a situation in Onana, man. I mean, this is a guy who's a goalkeeper for Inter Milan, a world-class, okay, not world-class, but then top-class goalkeeper. He's got Champions League experience. He's got European experience. I mean, he's the perfect keeper you would want in this game. If we're being honest, he's the keeper you would want to play in this game. I mean, that game against Switzerland did some brilliant saves. Of course, the goal considered, they couldn't do anything about it, but then he pulled off some brilliant saves. And in all honesty, now you expect, I don't know what's going on with Eto'o. I don't want to get into it. I mean, there have been rumors that the players are not happy with the way Eto'o is so involved with Rico, so making decisions with the coach and stuff. And he's partially responsible for dropping the keeper. I mean, citing different styles of goalkeeping they needed in the team. How do you argue about the different types of goalkeepers needed at a huge tournament like this and drop arguably one of the most experienced goalkeepers we have on this continent? One of the most talented goalkeepers we have on this continent. I mean, this is something Cameroon have to solve quickly before the Brazil game, man. And then we have to hope for the best. And then, I mean, we have to hope in all honesty, Serbia draws with Serbia draws with Switzerland. And I mean, if Switzerland draws on 4 points, if we defeat Brazil hopefully with 2 goals, well, on 4 points, maybe might go through and goal difference, who knows. But then Serbia defeats Switzerland, Serbia goes to 4 points, we defeat Brazil, we go to 4 points, and then maybe goal difference to take us through. That's the only saving grace we have. And then we move on to Ghana. I mean, Portugal 6 points, Ghana 3 points, South Korea a point, Uruguay 1 point. I mean, Uruguay lost the second game to Portugal. It puts them on 1 point, and it gives a brilliant ending to match day 3. I mean, Ghana versus Portugal, Ghana versus Uruguay. I mean, the World Cup history between those two. I mean, your mind can't flash back to 2010, that Suarez moment, and Suarez is still playing. I mean, this is the perfect time for Ghana to revenge. This is the perfect time for Ghana to right all those wrongs about 12 years ago. This is the perfect time. There is no other game which would be more used for Ghana's history other than this one. I mean, the emotions. I mean, you know what? I think the Ayew brothers were maybe part of that 2010 squad. I'm not sure, but I think the Ayew brothers were part of that team. They are the only players who have that grudge. I think no. Every player for Ghana will have that grudge because everyone watched that game. I mean, if you're a Ghana supporter, even if you're not a Ghana supporter, if you just love African football, you would have seen that game, you would have experienced that break as much as I did, and you'd expect this time around. I mean, Uruguay they have good players. Let's not lie, they have good players, but then they are still a weak team. I mean, the way they play, they drew against Korea, they lost against Portugal. So you expect Ghana at most just get a point. I mean, a point would be good enough, depending on how Portugal play with South Korea. I mean, if Portugal and South Korea draw, which I think they will draw, I don't see Portugal losing this game, and we draw against Uruguay, we're through. I mean, unless if Ghana loses to Uruguay, and then Ghana goes out because Uruguay jumps to 4 points. So in all honesty, draw, Uruguay have to play for a draw. I mean, we've seen in this tournament that they can counter-attack. We've seen that they can unlock defenders. I mean, they scored 2 goals against a very good Portugal side. They scored 3 goals against South Korea, which drew with Uruguay. So you expect them not to lose this game. I think it's another key game for Africa, man. So far, you know what? If things go away, you can have 4 teams through to the round of 16. I mean, at most, if it's better, I'll expect two teams. I would expect 2 teams to go through, but then 3 teams would be good enough. I mean, that would be like 60% of the teams from Africa going through, which would be a good representation considering what happened at Moscow at the Russia World Cup, where no African team going to the round of 16. So, I mean, you'd expect, in all honesty, expect African teams at least 1, 2 to go through. I mean, but you know what? This is Africa, man. Anything can happen. I mean, imagine this. Where almost all of our teams are in poor position to qualify, and then the worst happens, none of them goes through. I mean, that would be a shocker. Anyway, guys, the games. Today we have the game with the Senegal-Ecuador game at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow we have the Tunisia-France game. I'm not holding any hands. Then Thursday, 1st of December, we have the Canada-Morocco game. Hopefully, Morocco comes through. Then Friday, 2 December, of the Ghana-Uruguay game. and then, man, we'll know our fate. By then, we'll know our fate. I mean, it's either we celebrate from today till Friday, or it's tears from today till Friday. But then I'll be here to give you the feedback. I'll be here to react to everything, man. Everything Africa at the World Cup. I'm your host, Ronald M. This has been fun. Signing out. Cheers.